Alright guys, Tfue here again today, and yesterday was filled with a fair bit of drama. We had this FaZe Tfue situation that I'm sure you're aware about. I'll go through this very briefly. We also had a situation with Tommy's stream and Reciprocity, Scrapsy, so I'll go through that very quickly. Then we'll go on to yesterday's games, which are very interesting indeed. Luminosity's woes continue, even with Reciprocity with a completely new man in the squad. They seem like they were having a lot of fun, and LG lose the series once again. So yeah, we'll go through those series results today. Like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always, and let's hop right into it. So of course all this Tfue stuff came out yesterday. If you don't know Tfue, massive professional Fortnite streamer, and yeah, I think he's maybe got the most followers on, or at least the most views or something like that on Twitch. Crazy stuff really. And anyway, this guy joined FaZe about a year ago, just over a year ago. He was pretty much a nobody before he joined FaZe, and since then he's absolutely blown up, skyrocketed completely. So it's an interesting turn of events. When this initially came out, people were saying it was going to, like, you know, end FaZe, and they might have issues getting a franchising spot for next year. That's why it was really talked about in the CoD community. From my perspective, it seems like this is just a tactic for Tfue to try and get out of his contract. I don't think that this 80% thing has got much truth to it because of what Banks has said, and this is FaZe's official statement, and they're saying that the only time they took any money was from a 20% of sponsorship of like a branded sponsorship arrangement. So I really don't see where the 80% figure comes from Tfue, or what that's really about. And I see it probably just as a tactic, a legal tactic to get out of his contract that he apparently seems unwilling to renegotiate, and then maybe do something like what Ninja has done, you know, because Ninja gets all these crazy sponsorships from external sources, other than, because officially I think Ninja is with Luminosity, or maybe he's not anymore, but Ninja's going on TV and doing all these other sponsorship deals with people outside of just the gaming sphere. So I think maybe Tfue wants something like that, where he doesn't have to be tied down to this FaZe Clan contract. Whether this is an appropriate tactic is yet to be seen. And some other things to go on with the Tommy situation. I didn't really want to talk about this, but I thought, you know what, given Reciprocity played yesterday, it's probably worth discussing, at least in brief. So Tommy tweeted out yesterday, you know, he's going to be starting up a stream just to pass time, just have a chat with people. Of course, if you guys aren't aware, he's been having supposedly some mental health issues to some degree, which has he decided to step down from the team and let Dens take his place, because he doesn't feel like it's worth it for the team to put them through that, and to put himself through that to some degree as well. So he started a stream yesterday, and well, what Scraps says here, because of course Scraps is the twin brother of Wuskin, who is on the team with Tommy on Reciprocity. He says you've left them in the shitter and said you was going ghost. And I mean, look, I don't really want to get into this too much. I'll just go through these screenshots. Thank for Minor for taking these from the chat. But I know a lot of people are talking about the, you know, Scraps as being over the top here, given that Tommy's having these mental health issues. You know, Tommy says you're a psychologist now, huh? And yeah, people were calling out Scraps a fair bit here on Twitter and on Reddit particularly, because, well, I don't know, there's always two sides to every story, and we've seen that with the Tfue situation and FaZe Clan, because people were going absolutely mental, including Nadeshot, to be fair. Nadeshot was tweeting things out about, like, there's still organizations around that have good ownership. Like, you know, come on, mate, give it a second until the other side of the story presents itself. So I didn't want to present this in a completely one-sided situation here. Maybe Scraps and Wuskin and the Reciprocity guys have some good reason to be frustrated with Tommy for something he may have done. Of course, these are all very young guys. They don't have much experience with such mental health issues and the like. So I can kind of forgive them, and, you know, other people this age for being immature and over-egging these kind of situations. But you know, I wanted to leave it there really. Scraps did tweet out there, so many fake community in this people in this community, it's mind-blowing. I don't know what that's related towards, whether that is to do with the Tfue stuff, whether that's to do with the Tommy stuff, I don't know, but if you have any particular thoughts on it, leave it down in the description box below. And yeah, Tommy tweeted this out after it was over. Thought I'd turn the stream on to pass time rather than sit alone in the house while I decide what or where I've got to go next. Apparently it was disrespectful of myself to do so, and as I said, I was going to be taken aback from competing. I apologise to the team if this upset them. 1 out of 2. I didn't see the second tweet though, and this was then deleted a little bit later. So let's move on into yesterday's matches. First up, we had Evil Geniuses versus Midnight. So these scoreboards are courtesy of EasyMac, and the end of scoreboards are courtesy of Cam Allen, actually a great guy I met when I was at CWL London. Leave all these relevant links down in the description box below. Feel free to give him a follow on Twitter and all that good stuff. So this was game one, Evil Geniuses versus Midnight, and a very fun series. These teams are very fun to watch. Map number one was here on Hacienda the Hardpoint. Unfortunately, because EasyMac was at work yesterday, we don't have the full lovely scoreboard, which shows you all of the final score and all that stuff. But I can tell you that it was 250 to 220-ish, 224 to be precise. And Midnight were up a big chunk in this game, 150 to 80, something like that. They had a really great start to it. But Evil Geniuses brought it back, and this is something that's been very impressive from EG, and has kind of not impressed me so much with Midnight on the whole, is that they tend to, well, they play incredibly aggressive. When we went in for a listening with them, Parasite was telling them, like, shh, calm down, you know, and I feel like that was fair enough, really, because this Midnight team is all over the place in terms of they absolutely fly at the other team. Like, they just completely jump around corners and play pretty brain dead. But it kind of works. It's the aggression similar to what we've seen from some European teams earlier this season. The likes of Heretics and these mainland European guys tend to play super aggressive as well. That's what Midnight do. It catches a lot of teams off guard right now, especially in their search and destroy, I would say. And Evil Geniuses are just sitting back there with JCap just chilling, like, you know, I'm sure they keep it cool the whole time, and they have a very impressive temperament right now and ability to come back in games. They haven't lost a hard point so far in the CWL since they've been back, which is very impressive from Evil Geniuses overall. This map, they bring it back again. Attach does very well. Phantoms was a real masterclass in that ICR role. And yeah, despite having Llama and Lacefield doing very, very well on the side of Midnight, they couldn't close out the game. I think that's more of a sign of what's going on with Midnight right now, where they have a hell of a lot of talent on their team, but in terms of clutching up in games, I think Midnight maybe are a little bit lacking, apart from their search and destroy. So let's have a look at that now. S&D, Llama went 15-8, so he had a fantastic first couple of maps in this series here. Jacob didn't do so well on the Evil Geniuses side. It went all the way to round 11. Midnight took it down. Evil Geniuses really should have had the advantage in that final round, but they ended up losing it anyway. Midnight's search and destroy continues to be very, very strong. And this is something that excites me really for the rest of the week, because I don't know how good Midnight Search is going to continue to be, but they have been absolutely filthy in it the last few days. So fair play to them, but Evil Geniuses in the respawns just absolutely dominant. This was the control scoreboard, completely crushed the likes of Midnight. Only 5 kills on Saints and hot 3-0. Attached us and Tatch and Phantoms particularly. Two absolute superstars on this team right now. And then the final map, Evil Geniuses took it down on the seaside. This was a close one. Attach was going off this map. It was super impressive. Got a couple of really, really nice 3 pieces. And yeah, Revan was saying it was still a sloppy turn of events. Llama God once again having a fantastic map right here. But as you can see with Midnight, it tends to be pretty all over the place in terms of who has the good performances. You know, there's a couple of lads. I mean, I guess you can say exactly the same thing with Evil Geniuses right here. But I feel like overall, Midnight have more variance in how well the players are doing than Evil Geniuses do on the whole. But maybe the fact that Apathy and Phantoms didn't have as good a map here is because JCat was absolutely going off at 26 and 18. So very well played to them. And yeah, this is the final series scoreboard courtesy of Cam Allen. I'll leave this links down in the description box below. I like Easy Max ones as well, but it wasn't quite fleshed out as nicely on because I got it from his box score spreadsheet, which I'll leave also linked down below. I think Cam's are really nice with well, they look a lot cleaner to me, and it's much easier to see the numbers from my money. So this is the final series scoreboard, and yeah, over the whole of it, Attach just goes off, and very impressive from EG. They moved to 4-0 in the week, or since they've formed as a new team, and Midnight were looking very strong. I still think Midnight are a solid team and a very scary team to come up against. I think I might predict them over Reciprocity for tonight's game, but it's somewhat tough to call. So yeah, Evil Geniuses beat Midnight. Very impressive stuff. They've got a couple difficult games to finish out their week. Of course, they're going to play Optic Gaming, but we'll have to see how it goes. Second series of the day, LG versus Reciprocity, and their struggles really do continue right here. Like, John and Classic going off on map number 1. I think map number 1 was Arsenal, and very competent from the guys of Reciprocity. I think they were switching around the roles a little bit here because they had Dens on an ICR at some points, even though Shawnee was using it in the Search and Destroy. So I'm not exactly sure how they're going to go with these roles. But it's interesting to see how in recent days we've seen that really Dylan's the only one putting up numbers for this team. This series, everyone did the job. And that's a very scary sign for the opposition. But unfortunately, I don't know how much I can read into this series because they were playing Luminosity, who may well just be the worst team in the league right now. There was this drama because Gunless had gone to some concert this weekend. Then he'd come back and hadn't scrimmed today, so they had to scrim with Ricky instead, which of course isn't what you'd want from a teammate, but at the same time, supposedly Gunless has been trying to get these guys to practice and scrim more and get things together over the last few weeks. Hasn't really happened, and then he's just fed up with it and just had enough. Which I guess you can kind of understand when Gunless is going to a concert all weekend and hasn't been scrimming with them and still drops a 1.2 over a course of the series where they get absolutely crushed. The Search and Destroy was close to a time. It was about 3-3. Then Dylan just went off at the end. He got a 4-piece in the final round. I'll probably download it and put it on screen for you guys to enjoy right now. He closed out the game in a 6-3 fashion. Then map 3, decent stuff from Luminosity overall. Of course, it does require Gunless going 25-15, taking over the game completely for them to actually win it. Dens does have a solid map here, 21-16 on the side of Reciprocity though. So yeah, impressive stuff from LG. They did a similar thing against EG as well when they went down 2-0 in the series, and they did win the control, but then ended up losing map number 4, which happens again right here. Here we go, Luminosity just getting crushed on, I forget exactly what map 4 was, but it was 250 like 120 again. So once again, Reciprocity and the respawns all in the positive, and it seems to show a lot of cohesion within the team. You'd have thought that with Tommy out the team, it might not be so quick for these guys to get something together. Very interesting how Dylan was sitting in the middle, seemed to be calling shots for this team where Tommy would usually be sitting. So it seems like Reciprocity are doing very well off the back of this. I don't know, I can't necessarily predict them to do incredibly well for the rest of the week. I feel like there will still be a learning curve here with Dens back in the squad. But I do feel like when team changes like this happen, they can have a positive impact on your squad, at least in the short term, because you'll end up playing a lot more confident at times and less structured, and it really can catch other teams off guard. So it's very difficult to predict teams like this how well they would do, because on paper you would say that they were going to struggle. I predicted them against LG here because I just think LG are that bad, but tomorrow against Midnight, I don't really know how, or tonight even, I don't really know how to predict this, because Reciprocity arguably playing a better Call of Duty right now because Midnight are playing well, but they're very inconsistent. There's just a lot of talent mixed together. Tough to say. So anyway, this is the final series scoreboard courtesy of Cam Allen. Here we go. Gunless with a 1.2 over the course of the series, getting absolutely crushed. Classic has a 0.6. John has a 0.9. Slacked has a 0.75. Formula has a 0.84. Not the best. Dylan's going off again. I'm not surprised. 1.42 overall KD. Absolutely ridiculous performance from this kid. Zed's just chilling in his SMG duo as his SMG duo being like, what more do I have to do? This guy's unreal. And yeah, the rest of the guys putting up big numbers as well, with Dens, his first series back on the new squad, and the role changes has been switching around a little bit. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always. These are the matches for tonight. Midnight versus Reciprocity. Probably going to go Midnight, but it's very tough. I feel like this is a very tough one to call. In the Search and Destroys, I think I'm going to favour Midnight, so I don't know. I fancied EG over Midnight today just because I think EG are so strong in the respawns. Reciprocity looked very, very strong today. I feel like this will be a very close series between Midnight and Reciprocity. I think both teams could be slightly disjointed right now. Optic EG is going to be a fun one. I don't know how to call this. I probably will go Optic just because, you know what, EG have done very, very well. They did beat Gen G, but at the same time, Gen G haven't been looking so good so far. I think Optic should just have their number, but I guess Optic are still favourites. UYU versus LG. Oh my god, how do I call that? Sheesh. I don't know. I might just toss a coin. FaZe Clan versus Gen G to close out the day as well. This is an interesting series once again. I might be tempted to go FaZe. I think they looked stronger in the last week than Gen G did. But it'd be interesting if Gen G lose that many series on the bounce. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you are new as always. These are the final standings. And yeah, I will see you next time.